and welcome to the To Inspire Network interviews. Today's interview is going to be with Ruth Odunuga, and she's the founder of 360hype Marketing and Event Management. Hi, welcome to Inspire.
Thank you for having me.
Now, it's really nice to have you here, and I've read a lot about you, but I'd like to hear from you about your journey and how you got to where you are today. So if you could just backtrack a little bit and tell me how 360hype got started.
Okay, how far should we go back?
I'd say a couple of years.
Okay, well, 360hype started, if I didn't take it back to uni, which wasn't that long ago, but we started, I did my degree in advertising and marketing. As you do with that, I had passed my degree, went on to work, started working sales and marketing, mainly sales, went into the core wicked world of sales, talking to people. That's where I think initially my confidence in talking to people started. Then from a sales role, I then went into numerous marketing roles, and then went on finally into a managerial position in the marketing role, where I was heavily involved in marketing. And that company as well, we did lots of events as well. So I was running marketing campaigns at the same time I was managing their corporate events. So did that job, that all went really well. Later on, I went on to have my first son, and during my maternity leave, it was one of those situations where I think when you're on maternity leave, you've got a lot of time to think. What's my next step in life? Children are now involved. What do I want to do? Do I want to go back to my work? Do I want to go off and do my own thing? What next? And it was from that I just sat back and I literally did a tick sheet of my skills and what I'm good at and what I like doing. And the first thing that came there was I love organising. I love planning. I love organising. I'm a neat freak. And I think from there I just kind of thought, hang on, I love organising, I like planning. I was then quite social in terms of going out and things, so I thought, well, let's see how those can work together. And then I think I used a couple of family members' functions as my guinea pig functions. Let's see if I could organise, plan their functions. Thankfully, they went successfully. People that were not family at that time thought I was brought in to help plan and organise the events, gave me a lot of credit, and I think it just ticked the box in my head and thought, hang on a minute, people don't give me credit for this, something that I just did for the fun of it for my family, maybe there's an area for me to digress into. So that was one step, thinking, okay, let's see where we can go with that. And on the same hand with the marketing, whilst on maternity, I had a couple of small businesses that I had worked with before that had come to me and said, look, I know you're on maternity, but once you go halfway through and you're thinking about going back to work, we'd like to work with you separately to do some particular campaigns, as they've built nice relationships with me from before. So that kind of made me think, oh, okay, I could take on a couple of marketing clients and see how that works. Went back to work about 9 months after having my child, got back in contact with them, and it kind of worked. So I was doing consulting work for them. Then I was trying to now develop this event management that I just created from my own birth. And it kind of literally just slowly built itself up from there.
It's fantastic. Now, just tell me a little bit about what event management actually does. What do you do? What is your day-to-day?
360hype event management, what it does is, I like to see myself and our services as not just one particular service, and whatever event or function you're having, we should be able to be versatile enough to fit in along the way of your function and assist you. So on our overall, we are there to plan and execute a function from start to finish, and the pre-work and a bit of post-work afterwards as well. So you're having an event, you just know that you want to have an event. You haven't really got the understanding or the structure, or you think you might have the structure how to run an event, but you want a bit of guidance of someone that knows how to do it. You'd call upon us, we'd come and we'd plan your event together. Who's your target market? Who do you want to target? Where do you want to target them? What kind of budget have you got that you can afford to spend on trying to reach these people? But there are many things that we can also offer out in the big wide world for free. But then, we basically just get a deeper understanding of your needs, and then we now say, okay, do you want us to do a start to finish planning session with you, and more importantly, on the day? Because what we've tend to found and seen that hosts of a function, they're so overwhelmed with the actual function, and on the day of the actual function, everything's overwhelming them. You know, there's so many people that are getting called left, right and centre. So to actually make the day run smoothly, they find it quite hard to do because they've got lots of other things going on. Everyone's pulling them for this, that and the other. That's where we hopefully, because we've worked with you from before your function and leading up to your function, you kind of hand it over to us on the day of your function, and you can literally walk around and be the host, be happy, don't be sweaty, don't be stressed, kind of leave us the stress.
Okay, brilliant. And I would say all the skills you outlined that you kind of picked up along the way, so you mentioned your journey academically, through university, through the other roles that you had in marketing. What are the skills you think you bring that make 360 Hype, you know, so unique? What are the things that you're bringing to the event management and marketing?
I think the best skill that I sell of myself are my people skills. I think, you know, in any business, whether it's event management, working with people, marketing consultancy, dealing with businesses, you've got to have people skills. If we can't relate as humans, how am I supposed to absorb? I kind of need to get into your brain. I kind of, for that event or for that particular marketing campaign, I kind of need to be your best friend, or I need to be your company's best friend. So I think your people skills helps you to get to understand the person and relax a person. It's quite a nervous situation for a company to come and me sit there and say to you, right, tell me about your company, what do you do, where do you want to go, what are your goals for your function? So I think people skills will help you relax, will help you guys come down to one level. And most of my client consultations now, I try to make them more like an informal, friendly chat. But you don't realise that you're giving me all the information that I require because I've used my people skills to make you relaxed.
So in terms of building a rapport with a client, how important would you say for someone starting out is it to have those essential people skills and those communication skills?
I mean, when you're starting out a new business, when you're starting out a new business, it is important, but at the same time, I can also appreciate that when you're starting up a new business, you're very nervous and you're new to this big wide world that you're about to embark on. There are many skills that you need to, you know, be strong in, but it is because your people skills will help to either sell your product or sell your service. Because one thing in marketing, one of the first things I tell my clients when I'm dealing with my marketing clients and their products and services is that people buy people. You know, if I talk to you, if we have a laugh and we're chatting, you know, before I realise that you're telling me about this particular product, I've got a server over, had a laugh with you, I'm going, oh yeah, cool, let me have a look at it. More than likely, I'll purchase it because I've built that rapport with you. So it is important, but you know, everyone's strengths and weaknesses are different. But I mean, to have the basic conversation with somebody is key.
And how far do you feel you've come in terms of your business and in order to sort of self-promote from the days of sort of explaining to people that you've taken the plunge after having your child, you know, to go into business? How far do you think you've come from that journey? Do you think you've come a long way?
I think I have come a long way. You know, you do have to slave your way through, but at the same time, I've come a long way, but I'm also a lover of your products and service sells you. And if you can just sit there and your phone rings and you hear somebody says, hi, I was introduced to you, I hear that you do this. For me, that's job done. I think I've come a long way. I haven't had to go out there and do my Facebook or the Twittering or the PR. My name or my company name is out there somewhere. We've hopefully done a good job. Someone's told you, I've recommended, and you've called me. So I've come a long way, but I've still got a very long way to go. Because there are even situations that when I'm dealing with my marketing clients and I'm advising them, there are certain things that I'm telling them to do that I'm not actually doing myself. So I always take a step back and think, I've advised them to look at their business like that. Let me look at mine. So I will never say I've got there.
So it's almost practicing what you preach.
Always.
Fantastic. And when you're dealing with the clients, I did take a look at your gallery and you have an amazing array of pictures from previous events. Where do you draw your inspiration for, you know, your products and the way you sort of design things? How do you come up with those ideas?
Well, in terms of on the event management side, I think creativity comes from, I think you kind of have to have a creative mind, but at the same time, the World Wide Web now gives you so much, so many ideas, so long as you don't copy. There's a difference in being creative and there's a difference in copying. But I get a lot of inspiration from just literally, I can just find words and I'll just put them into Google, click on the images icon and see what comes up. And then we just create from there. But at the same time, when I'm dealing with some clients and when I'm dealing with my wedding clients and brides, sometimes they have an idea of what they want, but they haven't got the complete idea. So I'll take the 50% that they've given me, or the 70%, and we'll kind of top it up with the 30, and hopefully create something that, you know, works for them. And in most cases it has. A couple of cases we've had to quickly go back to the drawing board at the last minute and revise, but in most situations it works.
So what would you say you've found most challenging and, you know, makes you want to do that next thing? What's the thing that kind of you think, wow, I haven't done that yet, or what would be the most challenging thing?
Challenging for me in terms of event management, I'd love one day to host or manage an event in the Excel arenas and all the bigger. I've done smaller babies and I've done smaller workshops and things, but yes, my ideal dream is to get to do bigger and wider, you know, national events, which I hope will get there. And also with my marketing clients, you know, I work with small businesses. So yes, I'd love to aspire to work with big businesses, but one of my unique selling points are we work with the small businesses that can't quite afford the big marketing agencies and the big marketing companies. So I'm quite happy to just excel in working with my small businesses.
And in terms of those small businesses, you know, you work with the very small to the large. In between, there must be times where someone's come to you and said, this event, I liked it, but this wasn't quite right. And obviously, you're the creative, you've come up with the idea. How do you take that kind of criticism and work with that?
You've got to take everything on your shoulder, and you know, my taste and your taste will be different in some respects. My taste and your taste will be the same in some respects, but I don't think I would be professional if you gave me an opinion and I got offended. It's for me now to take that opinion and say, okay, next time we won't do it like that, or how about we'll change it like this. But yes, you can never please everybody. You know, in a room of 10 people, I'll probably please 8. And out of those 2, I think constructive criticism, we all have to learn to take it. You know, constructive criticism helps us, it helps me to turn it into positivity into my business and know what not and what to do for next time.
Fantastic. And what are the next steps in terms of, you know, the challenges and the things you want to achieve next? You said a big arena event. What else would you like to do? You know,
I'd love to work on the, you know, bigger national functions. I'd love to work with I'd love to work with a marketing client from total scratch. In fact, a company that hasn't even thought of their company name, and I'm literally creating it from birth all the way through to childhood, all the way to adulthood. A lot of my companies I get from, let's say, toddler. You know, they've done the early stages, but I'd love to create a baby right from the beginning and take it through as far the process as I can go with them.
Now, event management seems like a lot of attention to detail from what I can see. How disciplined and how sort of conscientious and, you know, that kind of ability to pay that much attention to detail, how much of that do you have to have as an event manager?
You have to almost have like an X-ray vision for what the normal eye can't see, the supernatural eye can see. And to be honest with you, I'm still working on that eye. I see a lot of detail, but I'm human. There are still things that I miss. But it's kind of, you know, when I work with clients, you know, I always work on the what if wrong, worst case scenario. You know, I can't work on the best case scenario, otherwise my job will be perfect. But I've got to work on the worst case. So when I work on the worst case, it helps me to see, okay, if that doesn't go right, we can do this. Or if that doesn't sit there, we can put that somewhere. So I'm continuously thinking of the negative to try and pull out what I think maybe somebody who attends the function would likely see. And I want to pull it out.
So you say it's about having a good contingency plan, always having that backup and making sure that you have something in place.
You cannot run a function without a plan B, if not even a plan C as well. Because human nature, you know, we were working on, you know, electricities, we're working on internet lines, all these can fail us at any given time. You know, they're not prone to not to, so you need to have, in any situation, a plan B.
Fantastic. And in terms of some of the barriers that you might experience as a woman in the event or sort of marketing arena, do you feel that there are any barriers to running your own kind of business and being out there as a marketer?
You know what? I'd probably say I haven't faced any barriers yet, and I'm not being is the word sexist to women, but I think women are quite good at planning and at being organised in their home, being organised with their work schedule, and I think that woman's side really does pay its benefits in the event management side of my work, because you know how I am organised at home, it just rolls and falls straight into my role and how I manage my clients and their functions.
Brilliant, and they must really appreciate that, obviously the attention to detail and the fact that you are so well organised. And in terms of advice to any people starting out and looking to make that journey into marketing or event management, what would the advice be? You know, even if you were to look back and say, you know, if I could have told myself this when I first started, what piece of advice would you give?
I mean, the first thing that I'd probably say is, I mean, always start with a plain sheet and a brainstorm. When I first initially started, I said to you, I did a tick sheet, and I was literally throwing down all words, you know, all words that best described me and my skills, or best described me and the type of business I think I wanted to go into. Because when you now put all those down on a sheet, and then you now later on look back on that to get to try and draw your road of where you're going, certain words will jump out at you more, certain skills will jump at you more, and then you will know what to develop. Because I think an important thing in business is we are not perfect in every skill, and there are certain skills that I have to call on suppliers and vendors to support me and do, because that's not my remit. Neither will it be. I can develop the skill, but it's not my skill. So I think in business, when you're starting out, know what your key skills are, because if you don't know what your key skills are and you're entering into a world where that particular skill is needed, you fell at the first hurdle. And if you know you need assistance with somebody who has got that skill, either get them on board or hire them for your service or work in partnership, but just know exactly what your skills are and what you're about to enter.
So it's almost being honest with yourself about your weak spots and your strong points.
Because we're not perfect, you know, and I don't think any of us out there has the perfect business. There's always room to change and create or make it different or make it better. So just knowing and accepting and calling on help when you need it.
Fantastic. And in terms of any sacrifices, would you say you've made a lot of sacrifices to be successful, or you know, the things you're going to do in the future? Would you see a lot of sacrifices?
I think the biggest sacrifice I made initially was choosing not to go back into full-time work. I mean, initially back then, as I said, when I had my first son, one of the things people could have said is, oh my God, you've got bills to pay, you've got mortgage, you've got this, you've got that, how are you going to afford to do that? And I think it doesn't always work for everybody, but sometimes like, if I want to do this, I've just got to go heads in. I've got to go heads in with prayer and guidance, and I'm going to get there, I'm going to do this. Because I just don't know if I wouldn't know if I didn't. So I think for me, that was the biggest sacrifice, like closing my eyes to a regular monthly income and knowing that I have to create my monthly income.
Fantastic. And in terms of the future and the bigger plans, how grand do you see your company becoming? I mean, you've mentioned obviously the large events, but how big do you see it growing? Do you see yourself with a large team? What do you see yourself with?
I'd love to see myself with a large team, but to be honest, maybe this is my comfort zone right now. I'm content and happy with the team that I have, and maybe because I have built my team to almost think like me, so I can confidently say they can go out and do the work. Because I think maybe because I'm still quite, I mean, it's not that new, but I still hold it quite dear to my heart. So to release it out into many people in a team, I think I'd be quite nervous, and I want to get everybody up to where my brain is thinking. And that's only because if you go out there as my team member, you're representing my company, and I have to be confident that you can represent my company 100% without me being there to support you.
And finally, just as something lighter, what do you do in your spare time? Curious.
Look after my 2 kids.
Wow, so working when you're not working?
When I'm not working, I'm working.
Okay.
That's it.
So the 2 Inspire Network, one of the things we always ask our interviews to do is to consider the promoting, networking and inspiration. And what would you have to say about those 3 things?
I think it is important in our businesses we need to be inspired and by whoever or whatever that inspires us, and don't be afraid to promote your business. You know, I think some people hold their businesses quite close to their heart without really thinking, you know, I need to talk about this business, I need to promote my business. If I don't promote my business, I'm not going to get any business. Equally, I need to network. If you don't talk, if you don't meet, you're going to be in the same spot. And it's amazing that there are so many networking functions and 2 Inspire networks that you meet so many people that are either on the same level as you or a level above you, or can actually help you in your business. They think actually we can actually work together in something. But if you don't get out there and network, you don't know that these people are there and are at hand to help or support or work with. So don't be afraid to promote your business. Be inspired by whoever or whatever, and get out there and network and talk.
Fantastic. And just one other question. In terms of the journey that you've taken, were there any points where you felt like just ditching this and going back to full-time employment and just, you know, going for that 9 to 5 and feeling secure? You know, did you feel like doing that at any point?
Probably yes, and I think probably in the first year. I mean, the first year is the biggest grind. In fact, I won't even say the first year. I'd probably just say the first year 1 to 3. It is the biggest grinding challenge. And I think some people have the mentality of, I'm going to start a business tomorrow and that money is going to be coming in by next month. Not at all. I found that my expenditure in my first 6, 8, 9 months was not even bringing me in an income. But I was satisfying customers, I was satisfying my clients. For me, that's paid me, that's job done. And I know that in turn, with referrals, recommendation and networking, that would later on bring a return on my investment to me. So I think we need to kind of think, okay, we need to think beyond our nose type thing. But yes, I did come to that stumbling block about year 1, looked at my husband and said, you know what, let me go back. And the point that he actually said was, you've started this journey, continue on. You know, because I would have gone back to full-time employment, might stay there for a year or 2, then decided I want to go and do my other thing, then I would have had that next year, and am I going to get to that same block and say, I want to go back to full-time employment? So he said, look, you started this journey, we're here to support you, and let's just hit this road.
Fantastic. And your support network seems like a very important thing. I mean, you mentioned your clients as becoming sort of friends and not just clients, and you know, one of the slogans you actually have is, we do it, you hype it. I love that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you obviously take pride in creating friends along with clients, and that's a big part of it.
A lot of my clients, because I mean, I have clients that I've worked with for 6 months, I've had clients that I've worked with for 6 weeks, but I can probably say almost all my clients I'm in some form of communication or friendship with. Either that our time have expired and they've decided to go off and do their own thing, or they've found somebody else, but I've kept that relationship, and that's what, when I talk about people by people, I think that's because when we met, they bought into me as a character and they like me as a character. And I think that's the best thing you can have in business, to make people feel comfortable. Whether we go on to work together for years on end, but I've made good friends out of them, and hopefully at some point made a mark in their business.
Fantastic. And finally, do you have an inspirational quote that keeps you going and keeps you motivated at those times when you feel like ditching it all?
I think one of my quotes, and now I can't actually remember it to the core, but it was something like, the day I have to wake up and go to work, the day I have to wake up and say I'm going to work, I'm going to stop what I'm doing. I don't think I've said it right, but what it basically means is I don't see my work as work. My work is my passion and I enjoy it. So, but the day I wake up and I turn on that computer and I think, God, what have I got to do now? I've got to do this work. I've got to draw the line there because the fun and the passion have left me. But I can't remember the precise words of the quote.
That's fine.
But it's something like this.
That's fine. Thank you. I'd just like to say thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.